Hi, I'm Joe Gertis, and this is Coffee in the Capitol. Our guest today is Representative Mark Gillen, representing the 128th House District, representing parts of Burke County. He's also the Republican chairman of the Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee. Representative, thanks for taking time to join us today.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you. When you think about townships and boroughs, this is really where, you get your roads cleaned. Your backyard stuff occurs in townships. One of the things that I did as a borough councilman, I went around and I knocked on doors and I said, hey, we got a little bit of a concern here. We're not sending a solicitor. We're not sending a piece of mail at this point. But this is what your neighbors are saying, and we just wanted you to be aware of that. And so it's in that spirit, that sense of community, that we come together as municipal officials, whether it's a borough councilman or at a township level.
How do you see that partnership with townships and your local governments and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? With your experience, what do you see that partnership looking like, and how important is communication?
Well, I see a need for a heavier lift, to be honest with you. I was a correctional officer in Pennsylvania. For 30 years, I was licensed as an emergency medical technician. And to say that our fire services, volunteer especially, and EMS is in crisis is an understatement. I think we've moved from a crisis to a closure stage. So it's under EMS, and our fire services are under a lot of pressure. Now, in terms of the state's nexus, beefing up reimbursement rates is going to help. But one non-negotiable in all of this, whether I'm in the state, whether I'm in the borough or township, is that when you dial 911, somebody's going to show up on a timely basis.
Right.
And I don't think people have a problem with paying a few extra bucks for essential services. I don't think there's an argument as to whether this is wasteful spending or not.
The governor just unveiled his version of the 24 budget, the 2024 budget, and one of the things he did raise the fire and EMS grants from 30 million to 60 million. There's a lot in the budget. There's a lot to unpack. You and your colleagues over the next few months are going to be having hearings, bringing in agencies to discuss their budgets. And what are some of the things that you're seeing in the budget, or some of your thoughts on the governor's proposal and what might be realistic?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the governor is making suggestions. So I do think we have to have a working relationship, and that's especially critical. And everything that he suggested is subject to negotiation. And so we talk about, $13+ billion that we have in the bank. That's earning a substantial amount of interest. I would say, don't eat your seed corn. All right, don't spend your savings, because that savings is actually allowing you, because of the earned interest, to spend additional resources that would exceed the bounds of the $60 million plus that we would be looking for in grants. Relative to the issue of grants, I would like to see sustainable money. When our firefighters and our EMS people, and I know many of them, I've been to the stations, are spending their time filling out forms, whether it's state mandates or whether it's trying to get something in on time to get the grant, I think we're further distracting them from their priority. I don't think that our first responders should be groveling for resources. I think there should be set aside. I think that ought to be part of the way we package and plan for spending moving forward, and reduce the amount of paperwork that lands on their lap.
We totally agree. We look forward to working with you on that as well. Well, Representative, we know that you're also not a fan of unfunded mandates, and we're looking at a couple things that we've long had as an issue. Legal advertising is one, and how we look at that and how we address getting information to the public. It's changed a little bit. Just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that issue, and moving forward, some ways that our folks can work to make sure that they open their transparency and get that information out to the membership.
We have seen an occlusion in the number and the proliferation of print media outlets. And so I do think we need to move the 21st century in terms of communicating with the public. There's no magic, whether it is print, electronic. I'm not concerned how the message gets out there, simply that it does. And as you talked about state mandates, I think our local municipal officials are in the best position to judge, given some broad parameters, is how they message out in their community. While we're talking about local government, I know one of the issues is local radar. And I have to be honest that for many years I was concerned as to how it would be used / abused. I'm not interested in people getting more tickets. I want to see people slow down.
Sure.
Because at least in my experience, having lived in that small community and then operating a museum, people are driving so much faster
Sure.
than they used to do, and distracted and reckless. And so given the proper guidelines, constraints in terms of
Sure.
the speed over, the dollar amount, the percent of the municipal budget,
Sure.
I would be comfortable with modifying the statute relative to radar for local police. These mandates that are paperweight heavy can be very counterproductive, because I've talked to local municipal officials that that's just too much paperwork for us. They would have otherwise loved to avail themselves of the resource, but they don't have the personnel to be filling those forms out.
But Representative, thank you so much for taking some time to join us today. We've got a lot of issues to discuss over the next few months and years. We very much appreciate your partnership with PSATS and working with us and letting us air out our view of what our members are looking for. You've been a great partner. We look forward to working with you, particularly in the fire and EMS issues moving forward. And I know you've got a lot to do, so we'll let you get at it, sir. But thank you again for taking the time to join us.
Well, thank you, Joe. And not only am I appreciative of you, but your entire team. Steve, I've worked with in the past, Brian as well. So we're very grateful for the work that you do.
We have a great team here. Thank you for recognizing that.
All right. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Thank you, sir.